Good afternoon, everybody. Robin Ayub here again from the Localization Fireside Chat, and welcome to another episode. With this episode, I think I'm recording episode 234 today, and that's 234 episodes. I can't believe where did the time go? I just keep asking myself. And I'm sorry, I'm using my virtual background today. I'm not in my usual studio. And the reason for that is I had to travel to Nova Scotia where my family is, where my parents are. My 85-year-old mother fell at home, and I had to fly and help out. So I am working in one of the rooms in the house at my parents' house. There's a lot of clutters behind me, so I thought, what the heck, let's put a virtual background. And I didn't want to interrupt the schedule of podcasting. I love doing this. I'm so passionate about it. You've seen me, guys, do podcasts from the car. Literally, I recorded podcasts while I'm driving on the highway in Canada. So my home office, for those who don't know, it's in Toronto, and Halifax, Nova Scotia is about a 2-hour flight from my home office. So excuse the virtual background. I'll bring you back to my usual studio starting next week. So again, welcome back to the conversation where, authentic and real conversations are taking place on this podcast. And I really appreciate all the efforts that the guests and the audience put into this podcast. I see a lot of our guests getting ready, getting prepared for this conversation. So is our audience, who gets excited about these conversations. And I can tell by every time I release a podcast, the download frequency goes up and the numbers goes up. So I appreciate that you guys are liking the material that I'm putting out there. And believe me, when I say I'm not exaggerating. It's an army of one. There's no other people helping here, just me. And my guest today, I'm so happy that we finally made it happen and made this podcast possible. With my guest today, he lived in several lifetimes in one career. Can you believe that, guys? He left Azerbaijan as a teenager on a cultural exchange program, became an award-winning trader before most people finish school. Now, that's impressive, guys. I'm still trying to figure out how to do trading. Made a fortune, lost most of it. Oops. I think I've been there, done that. Got a bit of a t-shirt on that one. And at one point was surviving, on €2 a week. Now, for those of you who've been there, you can just appreciate what rebuild looked like. He rebuilt, founded a global fintech media group, exited to a private equity, sold it to a private equity company, and then did something unexpected. He turned his attention to the biggest trust problem in our time. How do you adopt AI without handing over your data, your secrets, and your credibility? It's a big question. We're all struggling with this. You've heard me talk about this particular topic on this podcast with many guests. There's a lot of speed and there's a lot of excitement to use AI in a variety of scenarios. But the one elephant in the room, the big elephant in the room, is what's happening to my data. What's happening to my intellectual assets? What do I do with this? Can I trust it? Today, he's the founder and CEO of Polygraf AI, and we're glad to have with us Yagub Rahimov. Thank you. He joins me, by the way, from the U.S. You're in Austin, right? You're in Austin, Texas. Yeah, thank you for joining me all the way from Austin, Texas. I really appreciate it. Yagub, I can't wait to get to know you and get the audience to get to know you a little bit and get to know Polygraf AI. It's won the best of show at the SXSW recently and closed a $9.5 million seed round to scale into defense and intelligence. So welcome to the Localization Fireside Chat.
Robin, thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure to be with you. And to your point, what is it? We've actually rescheduled it multiple times because of the calendar conflicts. I'm super excited here, but I did not give none of that background information to you. So hats off, sir, for checking all the way background to my teenage times. And again, appreciate honestly you being where you are with your parents, and I hope that your mom is okay. I heard that part too.
I really appreciate your time with me today. So let's get into it, Yagub. The first question on this channel is the easy one, and we call it the background story. What got you here? What is your story?
So I honestly don't know. Like life happened, I guess.
It does.
But simple thing, I generally answer this very strangely. I was born in former Soviet Union when it was kind of this about to fortunately come to its end. But even when it comes to its end, you always get to be told that, hey, watch out what you say, watch out this, watch out that, right? So I grew up literally being told, don't say this, don't say that, and it actually builds a little weird personality, aka Yagub, for you. And for me, the what got me here was actually you addressed it in 2005. I was picked by the U.S. State Department as a flex featured leaders exchange program participant under the Bush administration. So I graduated my high school in the US and my whole life perspective got changed. I went back home and my parents literally, I remember my mom saying like, what happened to you? So I think life happened to me. That's what has got me here.
Absolutely. You mentioned something very interesting earlier, like where you were born and how it sort of built who you are as a young person. And you were under the Soviet Union. You were probably more measured into what you say and how you say it. Who do you say it to? And you sort of brought back my memories when I visited the first time when I worked for Limebush Technologies. I visited one of our offices in Warsaw. And I remember sitting in the room with a bunch of our managers, collection of our managers. And I found the conversation, you have conversations in North America all the time, and people are easy, you can talk to them in any way you want, obviously. What I found is like there were 7, 8 people around the room, and everybody is literally measuring every word that comes out of anybody's mouth. And it just feels to me like very strange. And sometimes I ask the question, and people look around if they are asking themselves, can I answer the question? It's sort of like, by then, I mean, there was no Soviet Union, but that, I want to say that inherited behavior continued on, even though the system has changed, but the human sentiment has not changed. Stayed there for a while. How did that transformation happen? If you could recall, I know you brought into you went to the U.S. You were still younger. You were in you got your high school degree in the U.S. Did you notice that change, Jacob?
So I want to just bring an attention point here. There are cultures that you think it is the hierarchy or the scareness, but it's actually in many cases it's respect. Like I spend lots of time in Japan these days. So you go there, you actually get to honestly feel what does really respect mean. So one should not really mix the respect part with the scaring or scariness of kind of like Big Brother in a way. Uh, I don't believe Poland nor Azerbaijan is China. No one is going to come and kill you for you, or you won't be disappearing overnight just for nothing. But there is also that respect element in there. I have my grandpa's name, originally Yagub Yagub Rahimov turned into be. So as a young pal, my dad always called me dad. He never called me with my name. Like he called me daddy, right? So that gave me the biggest self confidence, self boost as a young kid. So I'm before I was a son, I was a dad. That's what I tend to just literally say. Because when someone says you dad and treats you like a dad and shows me the respect like a dad that you deserve, that sets you in a different life trajectory. But the biggest change for me happened actually, Robin, when I was 12, when I asked for a bike from my dad. Actually, sorry, I was 10 years old. I asked for a bicycle from my dad. Uh, and my dad was working really, really hard. He asked me one question: do you need it or do you want it? And I said I needed and I wanted it. A month or so later, he ended up giving me that bike, but I did not see my dad for over a year afterwards. Not because he moved away or whatsoever. He took another night shift job to make that bicycle happen. But I did, as a kid, I was kind of ignorant enough uh, not to understand why he did it. I thought that he didn't care about me, honestly. So I told myself I won't be like my dad. I will not. Um, I won't be just like him. I will take risks. I will do things differently. And life has happened me from there on. But as I grow up, I understand it better. That's actually the most pivotal point in my life. That bicycle really is the main thing in my life that changed it, because it made me understand that, if you, I didn't come to this world just to eat, breathe, sleep. I came here with responsibilities on my shoulder, and that responsibilities, for me, I have values that's driving me. Like I'm hoping that everyone has their own, but part of that responsibility, I really believe that there is that much higher power than me sent me for a mission. I don't know what that mission is. I'm trying to be a little better person today than I was yesterday, and going after that. But I think that godly, power gave me that bicycle thing to change my life. And then ever since then, I've been going through ups and downs. I've become very wealthy. I've become very poor. I've become wealthy again. Wealth is something that basically is the waves of the life. Like you're a ball, like lying down uh, on an ocean surface. And the waves are going up. You go up and down, and then suddenly something pushes that ball very, very, very to the bottom of the ocean, and that's the time that we start saying that, oh God, why are you doing that to me? Right? But we forget one thing. The second that power goes away, the ball will not just rise to the top, it will fly. So it's, again, back to you, what happened to me, life has happened to us. It's all about taking what life gives you and turning something to you, overall speaking.
Now, this is very touching, specifically the bicycle story. I really appreciate that because we all had those touching moments from our parents that sticks with us, and you know, unless you were born on an island somewhere by yourself and you did not have any contacts with other humans, you probably won't have those experiences. But if you ever had any contacts with any other human, be it your parents or anybody else that, and I'm speaking to the audience here, is that, and you get to that touching moment where something sticks with you, something teaches you and take you to the next level. And those are, they always say in English, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And everything in life is a lesson. And we're always going to continue learning until the end. And I love your statement. I don't know what my mission in life. And sometimes we all go through life by its entirety looking for that mission. And meanwhile, mission is not as specific as we think it is, because human brain is derived from the point of saying, I need a beginning and an end. I need tangible things. I need to look for something I can touch, feel, etc. But sometimes it's non-tangible things that they probably are the goals or the things that we probably should be keeping an eye on. I really appreciate what you shared with us, Yagub. I really like that. It's very touching. Thank you so much for this. Now, you've spoken openly about and about peaking at $1.9 million, then losing it all through greed. I want to dig into, you know, uh, A, what was the cause of that, and B, how do you rebuild trust in yourself after a collapse like that? How did you get to that point? What caused it to break down, and how do you rebuild yourself?
And that was one of my actual first big loss I made in finance back when 2008. But to get to that, I did not lose 1.9 million. So I turned 25,000 to 1.9 million, and then gradually lost around $800,000 of it. $730,000 to be more precise. But as a kid, I told you the bike story. That should tell you the wealth background that I'm coming from. If a dad needs to work for a whole year to be able to afford a bicycle, I never really saw money really as someone growing up. So when you start, suddenly you go from nothing and you start seeing figures in front of you that you control. It starts building a weird mentality for you that you are invincible. You think that nothing will happen, and you start taking weird decisions and so on. So I don't trade right now. I'm not going to fake out to anyone. Do not follow me for trading. I have not traded, and I have actually signed an obligation that I will not trade personally. I've made enough money on that side. I've learned one thing, that money cannot be your North Star. There are values that you need to create in life. But for any trader, I would say that, discipline is your best friend. However, that discipline, the devil is always going to be like whispering things. You can do better. You can do better. And the discipline is something gives up. And at that point, what happened to me was actually the discipline giving up. But the Lord again gave me one thing at that moment to understand, actually, I need to give up. I need to stop. I need to self-reflect in front of a mirror to myself. So sometimes, again, making mistakes are the best things that can happen to us. In not just in trading, in any business, any life environment. If you are learning, that already means that you are going to be earning. Learning and earning is part of the learning, right? You got to be able to learn out of every mistake that you're making and reflect on yourself. And that translates into one thing: eliminate the noise. If you can eliminate the noise in life and go on signal is what is very important here. That's what happened to me. Like I was observing lots of noise, ignoring the signal.
That's very fundamental, to be honest with you, because our worlds today, and for the audience, we're bombarded with a lot of noise. For those of you who are feeling the same, there's a lot of news coming at you. There's a lot of propaganda, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of information coming at you, and you don't know what's real, or something to that effect. You're correct. And you don't know what's real, what's not real. Add to the fact right now, every time I flip through anything, it doesn't matter if it's LinkedIn or anything else. I don't know if it's real or not real anymore. AI produced versus authentic conversation. And that's why I'm proud of this channel. We kept the conversation authentic, and that's what I wanted to do. There's no gimmicks. We're not selling any, promotionals and vitamins or whatever else we have people do on these podcasts. And I appreciate that. I really like that. And you bring a very valid point. Eliminate the noise, focus on the signals, and then you get that to be your, your light guide, that beacon on the hill that drives you toward a goal of some sort, and eliminate all the other distractions. I get your point. Now, from a little bit from a background on you as well, and what you've worked on, Yagub, because it's very important to what I'm going to get into next, which is the polygraph. I can't wait to get to that. Is you co-founded something called 7 Markets in 2009 with a college classmate, grew it into a global fintech media group, acquired A to Z Markets in 2015. If I get any of it wrong, let me know. And grew it to 100,000 of monthly visitors on honest, unbiased content. Now, you exited to a PE firm in 2020, early Bitcoin investor, and I have not. That's something I have not been into yet. I don't know. People tell me, Robin, you should get into Bitcoin. I've not been into it yet. So The question for me, and that's like the audience here who owns probably small companies, they're thinking about exit, they're thinking about somebody to buy them, etc. From turning a company from from nothing to founding to doing something to producing something to exit. Can you speak to the experience in that journey, Yagub? And what do you wish others who are going through this to learn from your experience?
Yeah, just a side note here. Seven Markets in 2009, it was just a college dormitory room for fun thing
Yes.
that we did, but it was not really a company. Official company was established in 2015,
Oh,
not
okay.
2009.
Thanks for the correction. Appreciate it.
And we acquired A to Z Forex, which later we turned it into A to Z Markets.com. It was not 100,000. At any given day, we used to have a million plus visitors on our website, not a month. A million plus visitors. I don't know what is the current traffic right now on that platform. But the one thing, Robin, we got in there, for any successful business, you need to have three components. One, you need to understand the problem, and not only understand it, but you need to, that problem needs to hurt you for you to be able to say that I'm going to actually do the 24/7 something around it. Two, you need to have people sharing that problem, who agree with that problem, and who have the similar, if not the same, level of conviction around it. And three, unfortunately speaking, especially in AI world that we are living in, you need to have capital. And if you don't have a capital, you need to have a scrappy mindset on how you're going to be getting into capital. So, 2015, when I left the brokerage that I was a CBDO at a very large financial firm. I left there with a mission to bring transparency to the industry. That was the thing. I was seeing many brokers doing some stuff wrong. I was seeing lots of so-called wealth managers literally scamming people for commission purposes and so on. And what we wanted to do was actually bring really unbiased news, analytics, and also market review. Market review meaning that I actually was giving my own capital to analysts to go deposit to brokerages, trade. If they made money, they could keep the money that they made. I would just get my $5,000 back. If they lost money, they lost money. Like they didn't need to do anything around it. I was just focused around it. And the whole industry started seeing us as a legitimate source of like who to trust. And I asked at the beginning, where is your last name from? You mentioned Lebanon, Middle East overall. In that part of the world itself, trust is a very important point. Uh, in the West, we say trust, 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 but it's becoming cliche, touche word. It's a word. It's not a value these days. Uh, to get trust, you actually need to earn it. You don't get trust. You earn trust. So we basically built that community. We basically built the team around it. My really dear friend Quen Nong, he was working at Samsung. I gave him a call and I'm like, hey Quen, I'm starting this. We are actually doing this. Do you want to join me? What would you say? He said yes. He flew to Cyprus. I was living in Cyprus at that time. A week
Oh, you
later,
lived in Cyprus? I lived in Cyprus too.
I've lived all over the world. So I was living in Limassol back then in Cyprus. He flew there. He flew actually North Cyprus. So I picked him up in there. We had a couple of days of bonding together. He was my college classmate, and believe it or not, I actually hired him as my intern. So, and 5 years later, when we sold the company, we sold him as the CEO of the company. So he was already the CEO of the company. And that's also another part of it. Just because you are a founder does not mean that you should always be forever controlling it. Sometimes it's actually stepping down to let the way forward for others just as much important. And I've been fortunate in the past to be surrounded by amazing team members that gave us the opportunity. And today at Polygraph, the same way, I don't need to micromanage activities. I want to be the dumbest person in my leadership room, so that I can just go ahead and ask, let me learn from them instead of me telling them all the time what needs to be done.
Realizing, we have this conversation on this channel quite often, realizing what we are good at is very important to any job, to any initiative you take on, be it an owner of a company or be it a manager or a supervisor or whatever you are, a CEO of a company. We all have core skills and attributes, and those skills and attributes are good for specific reasons. And putting around us the right team to do the right job, I think that becomes one of the key fundamental trait of a good leader. A leader does not need to be a title. I mean, you already explained that to us, but for the audience, it is more of a leader that knows what they want to do, knows what they're capable of, knows what they're not capable of, and surround themselves with expertise to complement some of their skills gaps that they realize ahead of time. And there are many examples out there of founders who thought, listen, I can't run this anymore. I got to take it to another level. Maybe it's not my expertise at this level of the company where it is right now. Bill Gates is one example, but there are many other examples where new CEO comes in and take the company to a new level. And I've seen a lot of these scenarios where small to medium enterprise companies, I'm the founder. I built the company and I want to stick to it, and I don't listen to anybody else because I know more than anybody else. It's the wrong approach. And thanks, Yagub, for validating that for us. You're a witness to to the conversation that we should not all have all the skills. There's no possible way here. There are many skills required to run the company nowadays or a business. Now, let's talk Polygraph a little bit, Yagub, if you don't mind. So I want to ask you this question because the whole industry right now is racing toward, larger model, bigger models, and we're talking about AI models for the audience, and bigger cloud-based models. And you went the opposite direction with Polygraph. Maybe you can spend a little bit of time explaining it to us. The opposite directions mean small, local, explainable. Would you mind making the case why small is the future of sensitive work? And plus, explain, if you don't mind, what Polygraph is.
Yeah. Especially when we started in 2023, when I started actually talking about SLM, people were like, what's wrong with you? But majority of the people miss some very important part. Like, we are not doing Gen AI. We are not creating content. We are not creating kind of images, etc. So what we do at Polygraph, let me perhaps actually take a step back to give a bigger picture for everyone. No matter from what Robin cyber perspective that you're going to be approaching to cybersecurity, you always are going to be having a pyramid. That pyramid, at the very bottom of it, is going to be the data or your asset, what is valuable, right? On top of that, you put technology, and then you put processes, and then you put the users, right? And in cybersecurity, majority of the time, people are actually trying to focus on securing the data or securing the technology. But they forget one thing. 96% of the breaches happen because of the person problem, a user problem. And 24 to 26% of the breaches happen because of user negligence or user not being aware of something that he should not be doing. Now, in cyber world, that translates into phishing, wishing, smishing. You can go put whatever additional terminology around it. There is a problem around it. Why people really fall to it? Because in data security, as an example, DLPs have existed for, DLP stands for data leak prevention. It's existed for decades. But in many cases, DLPs are also archaic. There is a big brother kind of filter out there standing. You send an email, it goes through it, etc., etc., or you are sending a document, it goes through the filtration. Of course, there are great companies that are doing really amazing job, like Proofpoint as an example. But many other tools behind it, it's still gigantic technology. Now, as someone who has worked in regulated finance, as someone who has contributed to data security regulatory frameworks in the past, and as someone who's a libertarian, um, I'm a capitalist. I want to secure myself, not because I'm afraid of something. I believe that it's my human right. To do that security, I cannot go ahead and say that, Robin, don't trust, as an example, to OpenAI or Anthropic or I don't know, whatever. Trust me. That's hypocritical. The correct way should be that, Robin, don't trust your data to anyone, including me. And to be able to do that, you need to fall onto small language models. Why? Because it can be adapted to the infrastructure. But then there is very, very, very important element of the small language models. You can actually build many of these SLMs, each one of them being task specific. And essentially speaking, on LLMs, you have one thing that's jack of everything. And what is jack of everything? It becomes master of nothing at the same time as well,
Yeah.
right? But SLMs, essentially speaking, becomes master of one thing only. So we have now built a number of these SLMs. Privacy is one of them as an example. The secret marker today, if you look at it in any language, doesn't matter that we are operating in, because it's just trained for privacy aspect only, it will outperform anything and everything. In fact, actually, we just announced it in Japan, becoming 46% more accurate for data discovery, reduction, anonymization, masking purposes than the second best solution. I don't want it to go to the promotion part. SLMs are basically scalable, locally deployable, fully air gapped, completely zero trust, and they, when you correctly structure it, they actually outperform any bigger solution in the given task that you're giving them. That's why SLMs are better.
You know, there's an entire regulatory industry, and that's includes governments, includes banks, includes pharmaceutical companies, health insurance, etc. That they're worried about their data and where the data goes and how their teams, their staff are using these widely available tools. Now you can download them on an app, put them on your phone. Even if your IT department blocks them, you can. People are finding ways to download it and continuously using them, which is in essence a breach of security in a lot of cases. I did a couple of podcasts, and I think would be worth an introduction if you ever want to. Be happy to do the introduction. I'm not. You probably know him already. Win Schwartau. Do you know him?
Yep.
So I did a podcast with him, and he talks about. You mentioned the 96% of the attacks are coming from the human aspect of it. He calls it the cognitive side. So they're calling it the human brain becomes the attack surface. And how do you engineer an attack to mimic reality so a human brain can act on it? And that's the key to get in anywhere. So it's a valid point. Now that we can't have anymore a static solution. I also work with a cybersecurity company out of Switzerland. We can't have static solutions anymore. We need an adaptable solution. I think that's what AI brings, because a software is a software. It's by definition, it's a static software. You deploy it, you wait for the next revision, etc. I'm assuming with a small language model or SLMs, you are now at more liberty to adapt, to adjust behaviors, to update at a faster rate than a than a software. Am I correct?
So absolutely yes. Let's actually perhaps use this as an opportunity to educate and share maybe the findings. Educate sounds a little arrogant. Sorry for using that word.
Perfect.
Share our own experience so far
Perfect.
with people. Uh, the regex has been in market for a few decades, right? Regex is basically the you it's basically the recognition of certain formatting of textual input into an environment. As an example, Robin Ayub is the host of today's podcast. Robin first name, Ayub last name, right? And you mentioned Nova Scotia as an example, location. But if we go ahead and say that the host of today's podcast took a few hours of flight from where he is located to the west part of the country north of the U.S. Now we have eliminated or the northest country in the Americas. We have eliminated everything. We have kind of hidden it. But did we really eliminate it? Right? We haven't really eliminated it. The host of today's podcast, if someone is looking at it, they can look around it and, okay, Robin Ayub is the one. It's already identifiable. So regex actually in AI world becomes pretty useless. So the word that we need to start thinking is contextual aware. Contextual. Context is the king of everything. Now, the host of today's podcast becomes a person. The northest country in America is a location. Couple of hours is a time frame. So we can still do that. And what SLMs really do, at least the way that we have built our models, is bringing the contextuality around it, and doing it at a crazy small environment. I mean, right now the models that we have, they are running on my laptop. It's a Intel Core Ultra 7 Lenovo laptop that I'm running right now.
Yeah, I heard you can run it on an 8 gigabit of RAM.
It is the minimum infrastructure requirement. It consumes 40 megabytes of RAM. 40 megabytes of RAM, maximum 120 megabytes RAM. Now, what does it really entail now? My bigger vision for everyone listening here is that I really disagree with people saying that you have to give your data to be able to utilize a solution. I know that there is a method, and we are working on it, that we can deploy these SLMs on your mobile phones and watches and TVs and fridges and your laptops and wherever it is out there, or your Siris and I don't know, Alexas and so on, that real time protects your children's data, as an example. I don't want my son's data to be shared with everyone and them utilizing a childhood data to start targeting him for certain habits or something. And that's the only way to stop it or make it happen, Robin, is going on the context level. If you don't understand the context, we all are being, like I told you, where my childhood, right? Instead of saying the name of the person, you can say that your brother. Instead of saying your brother, you can say that the person next to me. Those are still identifiers for AI. There is actually a defense level terminology. It's called mosaic intelligence. Mosaic intelligence, you know what's mosaic? Mosaica, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's putting the pieces together.
Exactly. But a broken glass as alone, it's just a broken glass. But when you put them mosaically, nicely together, you actually can make a big art out of it. And AI actually works exactly on the same direction. Now, the data, you can say, okay, today's host, you think that you have eliminated it, but you put it together, you actually bring it out that Robin is talking to Yagub Rahimov and talking about AI security and SLMs and etc. etc. You've just now built an intelligence around it. That's what
Yep.
SLMs running at the edge actually makes it happen.
You know, when I worked in the telecom sector, you just reminded me of this. Sometimes somebody wants to locate, the security apparatus wants to locate somebody. They use triangulation to locate a cell phone number or cell phone user.
Location.
And triangulation means exactly what you just said. I mean, putting the pieces together, the distance between this signal tower to this signal tower, etc. And when you bring it all together, you can now pinpoint it to in a matter of meters to where the location is. And context, you're right, context is a king. And what I find right now, most people are using AI in a less than context aware kind of thing. And when I talk about you have to make the case of what you're trying to achieve with AI, otherwise garbage in, garbage out, and building, and I love the idea that your architecture is starting from. Instead of being one tool for everything, you're trying to single the tool or the SLMs to do a specific thing. That's a hell of a lot more powerful than generating images and writing songs and doing other things. If we're zooming in on a specific task and over designing the architecture for this particular task, you got to end up with a much bigger, much stronger solution that's harder to penetrate.
There is one another very important thing, Robin, here that these tools really is overperforming the LLMs overall. Um,
Oh, they would, because again, it's built for a single purpose versus everything to everything.
Correct, but there is another problem in that. Even though, let's say, you were to have an LLM to handle these things, like in the same PAR environment, the big problem that comes in that environment is that the latency. Now, putting these SLMs in the exact same location as the data is about to be inputted, you eliminate the latency. Like even if imagine the accuracy, etc., to the side, consider that everything is one to one, nothing changes. But imagine you are putting a prompt on to your cloud or chat GPT or wherever it is, and just for the data to get in, it takes 7 to 14 seconds, and then it processes, and then to get it back it takes another 7 to 14 seconds.
If it's fast.
I'm pretty certain that it would not, we are not even talking about the processing part. We are talking about going in part and coming out part, plus the processing operation. You would be frustrated out of it.
Oh yeah, 100%. I was
Because
just actually
now,
frustrated this afternoon.
exactly, right? So putting the models at everything at the inference level, at the operating level, now reducing it to 100 to 250 millisecond, you don't actually feel any change. You just go through it. Or running it at OS level. I'm running it right now, OS level operation. I'm typing like Grammarly would have shown me my grammar mistakes as I'm a non-English, non-native English
Oh,
speaker.
join the club, brother.
So I used to look around it and click the red and make it non-red. But now we are bringing it in compliance level, right? As I'm typing, it shows me red. I'm like, okay, I should not put a social security number in there. Bam, 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 continue it. Oh, it's another red. Maybe I should not include my API key in this environment. I haven't even sent it anywhere. I'm writing it as it's happening, and that's a very, very powerful, I think, tool. I would not be able to do this kind of thing overall, and doing it without keystroking is extremely important too. The engine understands the context around it, reads it, and gets it done.
And I love the vision that you just articulated, because I think this is where ultimately AI is going to go, into a small handheld devices, into a small appliances, into a microchip. Perhaps at some point it will be deployed on a microchip, where that program now can be engaged in many applications, from security to whatever, to microwave for that matter. So it doesn't matter, as we continue to miniaturize the technology and put it into a specific application. That's the roadmap. I mean, you're writing the roadmap. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. One of the polygraphs feature, I guess, is uh, detecting deepfake from other things that can be traveling through the network. First, would you mind explain to us how does that happen, and maybe if you could give us an example of how an incident that Polygraph has caught, perhaps other tools have never been able to detect.
So contextuality is on top of everything for us, right? Our USPTO patent is about system and methodology to identify provenance. Provenance is source of origination. So the models that we have built, they're all from the context perspective. We understand the context, and when you understand the context, similar to what I mentioned about trading, signal and noise, you can actually eliminate the noise and focus on the signal part. What is the one tiny hint in there that's actually giving the the signal to you? So we our models basically are joining documents, processing them, but also joining even. I'll give you actually a very crazy statistical number. 42% of all interviewees in recruitment world right now, they are cheating using AI. 42%. That's 4 out of 10 people that recruiters are interviewing today. They're cheating using AI. And
in which sense do you think, Yagub? How are they
they're just
cheating?
reading from AI, literally.
Oh, they're reading the answers?
So most of the people, they are putting their phones in there, and with a microphone, you ask a question, they click it, it processes, and it puts it in front of them, and they're reading from it, right? And sure, we are an AI company. I want Robin to use AI. I want John Doe to use AI, and Michelle use an AI. Everyone use an AI. The more AI, the better for us. But there is something in there, the trust part.
Yeah.
Like we use AI for everything. Like my own life is orchestration of multiple agents. Whether you're asking at the beginning, my LinkedIn as an example, my LinkedIn posts, you can see that there are bursts of going up, like sometimes 3-4 of it, and sometimes none of it. Those are the times that I enable my agent actually run my LinkedIn posts. And you can see that I get actually much better interaction in those agent-based operations that we run. So, but there is one problem. In an interview, when I'm interviewing, let's say for a job of C++ engineering, or we are interviewing someone for sysops, I'm looking for an expertise in there, not just someone who knows how to prompt something or who knows how to read something. So
Yep.
being able to read through the context and catch it up in that environment is very important. Now, that environment is an orchestration of multiple SLMs put together, and then one basically a little larger SLM that basically maps out all the signals together and demonstrates it. It is for text and audio only. We don't do video, we don't do images, etc. We want to focus just on the context. What is the context, and how is it that's going to be negatively or positively moving the conversation on one direction or another?
Now, in the area where we're talking about trust, I mean, you mentioned earlier in the opening, trust is not bought. You can't go to somebody and say, "Hey, I want to buy some trust from you." You got to earn it. In a recent episode I was working on with one of my guests, I talked about the concept of bringing your own LLM and how companies are using that right now. So there are some companies with platforms that bring their own LLMs. They allow customers to bring their own LLMs in. And where do you sit on that? And that causes obviously many data exposures, right? So I mean, bring your own LLM is fraught with many possibility of risks there. So where do you sit on that whole idea of LLMs in general, in terms of if you're a SaaS, let's say you want to bring many customers in and you're running out of ideas, and that's where the application or the use cases are. You bring in, allow the customers to bring their own LLM, because many people are saying, well, I use Azure. I just paid for Copilot. I designed a little bit something in there. I want to be able to use that in my vendor platform. That's a hell of a risk, I'm thinking. What do you think of that?
So you can do that. I mean, for us from the data perspective or prompt infiltration perspective or I don't know, language level perspective or toxicity perspective or these are all, by the way, multiple SLMs that are looking for each one of those points.
Yeah.
You have we give our clients a methodology, a control panel that they can set it up, and the same rules that they set up for users, they can set up similar rules for agents, the LLMs,
Yeah.
and they would take, essentially speaking, the base URL of those agents, the models, and put it on Polygraph, assign policies on it, create a new base URL and put it back on it, and start using normal without the risks of it. So I honestly support the bring your own LLM concept, but then there is a big problem in that side, which your question did not really address. Many companies do not put proper API security in their operation. Like if you get on GitHub alone and do a little bit of a scratching, at any given time you'll find around 30,000 available Cloud, Gemini, OpenAI, Llama, DeepSeek, etc. API keys. And those are the vulnerabilities that one really needs to look at. I mean, look around Google Gemini. Many people are actually complaining, specifically Gemini overbilling them. It's not that Gemini is overbilling them, which there is a problem. Gemini doesn't give you the max spend limitation around it. They just keep on billing you. But the problem in there is that they may have left an kind of uncovered API somewhere on their GitHub, etc. Someone found it and they're utilizing that. Now, securing that, not that's one vulnerability from the finance perspective, but the big problem in it, what if, God forbid, now you are a law enforcement or banking group or someone like that that's using those LLMs and someone actually accessing the same API and pulling out that data that you're putting? And that's a big problem in there, overall speaking. So on our side, we basically aim to eliminate that potential risk from its core concept. Like nothing actually hits the LLM before it's going through the security workflow that you've put within the SLMs that are running in your own infrastructure. Everything gets to be protected, put into LLM returns result, the data goes back to where it's supposed to be. You get to use everything normal.
So from a visualization perspective, I'm assuming Polygraph sits at a layer between the user and the LLMs?
Correct. User and LLM or data and LLM depends on the infrastructure environment that we are talking about.
Okay. Okay. Now, my understanding also that you're moving into defense and intelligence where failure simply is not an option, I guess, in these environments. How does that
You can
change
see
how
some
you
of
build?
those things behind me.
I see
Those
that.
are some of the awards and recognitions and also appreciations that we've received from the industry.
And how do you, going into defense and intelligence, is that require a different build, or is this the same build or a different application?
So, essentially speaking, it's honestly the same exact application. The only caveat, the only change in there comes if you are operating in an IL environment. IL is Army's classified environment, let's just call, or any top secret or whatever environment. We may need to build a different model for that specific categorization. And if you do that, we actually build it in the client's own infrastructure. We don't have access to it. The architecture that we built is built to be air gapped, whether it's a small law firm that we are working with, or an insurance company, or a healthcare provider that we work with, or call center that we work with. Doesn't matter. It's the data. We respect the data in there. I want to actually, I've never really used this word publicly, Robin. We are kind of like sharing the similar mindset as Signal does for data security. Have you seen, like, I use Signal myself, by the way. I'm sure you've used it or you've seen it.
Yeah, no, I've downloaded the app. I haven't had a chance to use it yet.
So there are I don't use these days any other messaging application except Signal. Why? Because everyone keeps on saying that I will be encrypting your message, but you're giving it to them. Signal is the one that actually properly secures it. It's
Interesting.
end-to-end proper encryption.
Yeah.
They are saying that we will not give your data to anyone, nor we will access it ourselves.
Yeah.
That's the mindset that we are really, really going after. The data that you're sharing in your LLM, the infrastructure that we are giving, it's the same thing. Whether it's small firm, mid firm, or government defense IC, they all deserve their privacy, and it shouldn't be discriminated based on what they are operating in.
What is your idea around what is the value of the data that we're trying to protect, and how much are you willing to spend to protect it? Sort of like, what is the insurance plan that you're trying to put on top of that data? Depends on the industry, I guess.
Uh, you know, I was actually talking to a vendor, a healthcare vendor. The CISO sent an email to me. Uh, if they're listening, they'll probably see it. His comment was that my worry is that next year my AI security bill will exceed my cybersecurity bill. That's actually worrisome, right? And my reply to him was, "Don't worry, it won't happen to us if we work together, because we don't, as we deploy it locally in your own infrastructure and running it on just local machines, we actually charge you per seat or flat fee structuring." So there is that problem in security part that everybody, even I'm not going to name and create conspiracy, but I know that some of the models that are basically being structured behind the scene intentionally to use more tokens. And the more token usage means more energy usage, more building fees, more, and we eat up the world by itself. By doing it locally in their infrastructure and not adding extra for their capex, or not adding extra into, or giving them expectance on what is going to be next year, I think it settles well with me as the founder of Polygraph. It is in line with my commitment to my customers. And as a GTM itself, I mean, I really feel comfortable going in front of the client and saying that next year we will not increase your bill. In fact, actually, this year, some of the fee that you pay this year will be credited for the next year, and it will be less. And that builds that trust between us and them. And we build that relationship. It's all about, and in cybersecurity, Robin, one very important element is that there will never be one company that will be able to handle all parts of cybersecurity.
Absolutely.
It's forever changing. There is always someone knowing one part better than someone else. So we want to own that SLM category. And you mentioned about Winch Wharton. He's not really wrong on that side. The behavior with Gartner and Omdia and Frost and Sullivan, etc., we are working on a new category we are defining as AI behavioral control. In short, AIBC. AI behavioral control is a new sort of a cybersecurity approach for AI security specifically, that not only protects the data, not only stops the prompt infiltrations and so on, but real time warns the Yagub and Robin or whomever else it is using it that, hey, this thing you are about to put is wrong. I keep on always like making a comparison. My 7-year-old, we are at a red light, and I try to just slightly press on the gas to see how he's going to react, and he starts screaming, "Daddy, don't you see it's red?" So it's a human mindset here, Robin, that people who react to colors, people who react to what's in front of them, and no one can go longer any longer say that, oh, I was not aware of it, or Robin didn't know it, or Yagub didn't know it. It's in front of you that you're making a mistake.
Yeah.
And guess what
Yeah.
it happens? That becomes a behavioral training. It's not
That's
just a
right.
security, it becomes a training. And cognitive training has always been much better than anything else. No one taught, you didn't have to read a book on when to wake up, when to go bed, or when to eat and how to eat. It's all cognitive. It's built on our nature. Now, bringing that security mindset into cognition and putting it in your eye all the time, real time, that makes you eliminate most of those problems.
100%. So is this the premise? Basically, alert the user on the data that you're about to send to AI?
Not just the data, but also prompt infiltration. Basically, anything that's about to happen, you get to be real time seeing it.
Yeah.
And for there is also but a new type of a user in that environment that's called agents. For
Yeah.
agents, it's not the visual part; it's actual real time signaling that basically ruling out what not to do.
Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. So 5 years out, where do you see the company? What do you think is going to happen?
So my big vision, hopefully, that we'll be able to do is that I want to be in every end device. That's why our models are 100 megabytes range, 140 megabytes, 150 megabyte range today. That means that every device, including the mobile phone in your pocket, should include Polygraph. Not everybody will need it. I understand. Some people don't care about their data.
Yeah.
It's their decision. But those that care, I believe that you need to be able to control your data, your flow, what you give to whom, under what conditions, and that's
Correct.
where we want to bring it. Not just
And I love this vision. Like the design small, light programs. Run on a very small amount of storage. Basically, you're saying like 100 kilobytes, probably. What did you say? 100 kilobytes,
100
maybe.
megabytes.
100 megabytes. So 100 megabytes, it's not big in today's space. It's tiny, and it runs on pretty much on any device. You can run on a watch if you want to, a digital watch. So I love the design idea because this is refreshing. Because most design ideas, they come with bulky sizes. They need, you know, I don't know, stacks of servers. This is refreshing because that's the first time I'm talking to somebody. I had the pleasure to speak with you today, Yagub, is around how do we miniaturize this? How do we small it enough, bring it down in the size enough that I'm now able to deploy it on multitude of surfaces, multitude of technologies, and be able to protect more because AI is now on every piece of technology out there.
It's on
But
your
there is no
browser
protection.
header right now.
Yeah, that's
On your
right.
browser header, you're typing a URL. The AI is right there on Chrome.
Correct. Correct. No, this is fascinating. I really appreciate your time with me today, Yagub. Did I cover everything you wanted to cover today?
Yeah, I mean, I came here to make a friend, and I think I made a friend today.
I love that, and you know what? You framed exactly why this channel exists is to make friends, and I wish you all the best with the company, with Polygraph, with the team. I know there's a lot of success ahead of you. I can feel it from the structure of this company, from what you just told me today. I feel a lot of good things coming your way because it's the right positioning for this. It's absolutely the right positioning, and I'll be your best champion out there.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming in online with me today and sharing your story and the story of Polygraph. Much appreciated. Any
Absolutely.
last comments for the audience?
For like, if you want to connect with me, I'm on LinkedIn. I think you're gonna ask this question. I'm just making your life much easier in a
I
way.
was going to ask it, yeah, but that's why I opened it for you.
LinkedIn is the best communication channel with me. You know, I actually use it personally. I don't have anyone managing my LinkedIn intentionally. On if you are a CISO or whatsoever, technical leader or company leader, and you're running AI, you want to see what risk that you have on our website. If you go on the very top, there is a free, completely free, no obligation AI risk calculator. Just go ahead and use it. We've opened it up for public. We Yeah, benefit it for yourself. We want you to adopt AI. I envision the world that AI will be everywhere. It will be making our lives so much easier. I mean, I would rather to have literally a machine running everything, and so that I can go have my coffee and come back and verify it works, than you know trying to do everything manually. And I believe that we as human beings, our mission is not just to be the keyboard champion in here. Our
Yeah,
mission is to live a life, a valuable life overall, and AI will make it happen for all of us.
absolutely. No, I want to thank you, Yagub Rahimov, for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And for the audience, I want to thank you so much for joining me in on recording episode 234. I really appreciate it. If you come in on our YouTube channel, thanks for watching us. And if you're listening in on our audio channels, thanks for listening in. And if you're reading the blog post where I summarize all these discussions in an archivable forms, robinayub.blog, thank you so much for making us part of your journey. And thanks for engaging with this content. From me, Robin Ayub, your host, and Yagub, thank you so much for joining us for episode 234, and I will see you at the next episode. Thanks, everybody. See you later.